Alhamdulillah wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ba'd. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in verse 246 of Surah Al-Baqarah, Alam tara ila al-mala'i min bani Isra'ila min ba'di Musa idh qala li nabiyyin lahum. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells a story. And He says, do you not see, or did you not see how the group from the children of Israel after Prophet Musa, remember what happened when a prophet of theirs said to them, and it's referring to Prophet Samuel, one of the prophets that existed. He's not mentioned in detail in the Quran except here. He said, قالوا لنبي له مبعث لنا ملكا نقاتل في سبيل الله. So this prophet said to them, or they said to the prophet, that why don't you appoint a king for us and we will fight in the cause of Allah. So now if you want to understand what's happening here, you need to know a little bit of the story. Back to Prophet Musa's time, Prophet Moses. Prophet Musa and his people, the children of Israel, they left Egypt. Pharaoh was drowned, what's called the Exodus. So when they left Egypt, they were wandering around the desert for a long period of time. This incident is happening about 300 years after Prophet Musa left Egypt. We're talking about a few generations that came later. And what ends up happening is, some of you remember the story, Prophet Musa was wandering around the desert along with the children of Israel because they were rebelling against Allah. And they said, you know what, we want to enter into that city, which was Jerusalem. Now, this is the city that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has promised us. But they didn't want to fight. So they weren't able to go and fight. And now there's another opportunity to come and go into this city. So this is hundreds of years later, but the problem is that the children of Israel were divided. There are 12 families, 12 clans, and they're all not united together. It's a very important lesson for Muslims. When Muslims are not united, they can't do anything. So they're coming to their prophet of the time, and they're asking their prophet, pick someone who's going to be our king, our leader, that's going to unite all the 12 tribes that are fighting with one another. We're going to all unite together, and we're going to go and we're going to fight in the cause of Allah, and we're going to get this, land and this city that's promised to us and all these things. قَالَ هَلْ عَسَيْتُمْ إِن كُتِبَ عَلَيْكُمُ الْقِتَالُ أَلَّا تُقَاتِلُوا. Now the prophet knew some people, they talk big, but they don't do anything. So he said, what's going to happen if Allah gives you what you're asking for, and He decides that this is a king and this is a leader, but then you don't go and you fight? قالوا وما لنا ألا نقاتل في سبيل الله وقد أخرجنا من ديارنا وأبنائنا. They give their answer back. They said, why wouldn't we fight? We've been kicked out of our homes and we've been separated from our children. Basically, they're saying we've been humiliated. We have every good reason to fight. So what they're saying is they're defending themselves and saying we're true to our word about what we're saying, and we have an intrinsic motivation to do what we're saying we're going to do. Now that's very important, because anytime you want to do something, you have to have a reason for doing something. There needs to be some motivation that causes you to get up in the morning and pray Fajr. Some motivation that causes you to, work extra in your job. Some motivation that causes you to wake up early in the morning and go for a jog or go meet somebody. There has to be some motivation. So they're saying our motivation is so strong. We lost our homes. We're oppressed people. Look at our situation. We have every reason to fight. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells the rest of the story. فَلَمَّا كُتِبَ عَلَيْهِمُ الْقِتَالُ تَوَلَّوْا إِلَّا قَلِيلًا مِّنْهُمْ. When fighting was prescribed for them, they all ran away except a few of them. They did not fulfill what they were supposed to do. وَاللَّهُ عَلِيمٌ بِالظَّالِمِينَ. And Allah knows truly who are the wrongdoers. So these people are saying, we're the ones who've been oppressed. We look at the situation that we're in. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala explains what happened. These people didn't do it. Now there's many, many lessons. I just want to focus on the one lesson, right? Or two lessons. Lesson number one is for other people. Is that you have to be careful. Is that people talk really big. I'm going to show up for this class. I'm going to go, get my life in order. I'm going to go and I'm going to do this. You see that person with all that big talk, they can't follow through on anything. And this happens again and again and again. And if you believe every single person, you keep getting burned again and again and again. So you have to be cautious, not overly skeptical. There has to be some level of trust in the world, but you have to be wise and not keep getting bitten by from the same hole twice or the third time or the fourth time. And then there's a second lesson. The second lesson is for yourself and for myself. Ask yourself, how many times have you said something? You say, I have a good intrinsic motivation to this. I have a good reason to get myself healthy because I have some health problems. I need to get in shape. I need to start eating better. I have a good reason why I need to take some Islamic classes. I didn't really know this about Islam. I didn't know that about Islam. I have a really good reason to get my family in order. My children seem to be going off on the wrong path and they're with bad friends and this is happening to them. I need to make some adjustments to our schedule, to our family routine. And every time you do that, you backtrack and nothing happens. So you may have a good intrinsic motivation. These people had a very good intrinsic motivation, but they didn't have the courage, they didn't have the willpower, they didn't have the discipline, they didn't have the work ethic to follow through on what they're doing, even though they knew that this is what they're supposed to be doing. So a very important lesson to ourselves is that we need to think about, number one, what is our intrinsic motivation for doing the things that we need to do? And number two, how can we not end up becoming like these people who were basically cowards? They were afraid of fighting, but they kept on saying, yeah, we're going to do this and watch what we do. And if you over talk and you over promise, even to yourself, what ends up happening is when you don't do it, you end up spiraling downhill into, I can't do it, I'm a failure, I can't do it, we can't do it, we're useless, we can't do all of this negative self-talk. So instead, what people need to do is we need to do the opposite. There's something called spiraling upward. Instead of spiraling downward, slowly build yourself up, make consistent improvements in yourself every single day. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us among the people who, when we talk, we do the walk as well. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us people who are true to our word. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us people who do not get burned again and again by people who let us down. Ameen wa sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. And we'll start the Quran study class in just a few minutes, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi.